Deseret News Rewind is presented by Heidemann and Associates, a full-service law firm dedicated to winning for you. Call them now for a free consultation. Welcome in Deseret News Rewind, the award show presented by Heidemann and Associates, but brought to you by the Utah Army National Guard.
That's right, Dusty. Awards, it's time for celebration, right? And maybe you don't have a celebratory moment. Maybe you're going through some challenges, some legal battles. There's no better place to go than Heidemann and Associates. Give them a call. Offices throughout the state of Utah, all along the Wasatch Front, down in St. George as well. If you tell them Deseret News Rewind sent you a free consultation, 801-754-4240.
Well, our award show is brought to you by the Utah Army National Guard because it's about consistency. We give out that award every game.
Yep.
It's about the consistent performer of the game. Well, all of our guys tonight that we talk about from the football season, night in and night out, were consistently performing for their teams.
Yeah, they were, and it's always great when we do these to be able to post them on Twitter, on Facebook, and get your feedback. And hey, here's who we think was our offensive player of the year, our defensive whatnot. Now, important consideration: our Twitter polls are not the only consideration. That's a component of our scoring mechanism, right? We get together, we talk with coaches, we take the fan vote, we have our vote, and then at the end of the day, we come up with our award winners, and excited to be able to announce those here.
Oh, absolutely. We're not the NBA All-Star Game. This is not a popularity contest. Not only that, we're not the popular vote. We're electoral college as well, and just not going to go say, hey, who's the most popular guy out there? Because there's a lot of guys who are deserving. Now, to all of our nominees, great years. This is nothing to diminish what they had throughout the year. But these are the guys that were selected, and we're excited to bring them to you. Well, let's get started first. The 6A Offensive Player of the Year.
All right, here with Bridger Hamblin. And Bridger, we want to congratulate you on winning our Deseret News Rewind 6A Offensive Player of the Year award. Congratulations.
Thank you. That's awesome. I had no idea.
Well, it's well earned. And, we had a chance to see Syracuse this year, and you're a man of many talents. A young man that threw for over 2,000 yards, almost 1,000 yards, rushing just shy of that, 42 total touchdowns. This is a team last year that didn't make the playoffs. This year, didn't quite know what we were going to get from Syracuse, but you guys able to make the playoffs, win a couple games. Just walk us through what 2019 was like for you.
It was great. We had so much fun as a team, and me personally, and we get along so well, and to overcome the adversity that we faced last year, only going 2-7, and like you said, not making the playoffs. It was just an amazing feeling, and the games that we played in, and they were mostly all close. We had a tough region, and it was just great. Fun season.
What was it like you mentioned a little bit being down last year, and how much did that add to the focus of this group this year with such a talented senior class, Ty Burke, yourself, a lot of other guys that have been here for multiple years? What was that focus like this year for this group?
We pretty much, at this banquet a year ago, we said goodbye to those seniors, and we pretty much came together and we decided, we didn't want to end on that next year. We didn't want a season like that, and so we came together. We worked harder than we've ever worked in the off season, and we put so much time in, and to see it pay off in the season, it was great.
The region MVP, what is it like for you to get this program back to winning a region title in 2019?
It was awesome. It's been, I think, the last region championship the school had outright was, I think, 2012. So to do that again, to have outright region championship, sorry, I can't talk. It just felt amazing, and especially to do it with this group of guys. They're my best friends. I'm going to be close with them for my whole life probably, and it's just an amazing feeling to do that.
When you think back on this year, what is going to be that moment, that favorite memory that you have thinking back of this group? What will you hold on to going forward?
Honestly, I think we did a lot of things together in the off season. Like we would have team dinners and like team parties, and we'd do a lot of stuff like that. So obviously that's fun and always great to do that. But I think something that I'll remember most about these guys is just the friendship and how well we played together and how well we got along. And then obviously the games we were in. We had a game-winning field goal against Weber and then a double overtime game-winning touchdown against Roy the very next week. So, it was just a fun season all around.
Well, there were a few players as difficult to defend as Bridger Hamblin. It's why you're our 6A Offensive Player of the Year. Bridger, congratulations.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Bridger Hamblin, I mean, there's a lot of guys to be on there.
Yeah.
And you see some other videos where some guys, the classification are there.
Yeah.
But Bridger was, I mean, we had a really big argument about, well, I say argument, long discussion about how we were going to go about this one.
I mean, the reality is you look at a young man who really, I don't want to say turned around Syracuse football, but uncustomary year last year. And then you watch that offense this year, and I told Bridger in the interview, there are not a lot of players that are more difficult to defend in 6A than you. Can throw the ball, can run the football, combined 42 touchdowns for Bridger Hamblin this year. Helped get Syracuse back in the playoffs, back in the winning column in the playoffs. They beat Pleasant Grove. It was a really good offense for Syracuse. We saw them this year. When you see Bridger on the field, you have an appreciation for what he brings in a really fantastic year for Bridger Hamblin, very deserving to win our 6A Offensive Player of the Year.
And a lot of guys that don't get it, that deserve it, they're certainly right there. Yeah. I mean, we're here with Austin Bell. If they get injured, he might be this guy.
Yeah, I think so.
He really could be.
Yeah.
But it's a tough one as well. But congratulations to Bridger Hamblin. And now let's go look at our 6A Defensive Player of the Year. All right, here with Josh Wilson. And Josh doesn't know what we're doing. Josh is our 6A Defensive Player of the Year for Deseret News Rewind. And
awesome.
Just make sure that's on the BYU bio, by the way.
I'll put it in there. I'll put it everywhere. I'm going to make sure it's all over the place. So.
If you do or don't, but man, talk about this year for you, because that's what people ask me, like, hey, Josh put up so many stats. Like, but I asked Coach Kerr about your playmaking ability, and I'm just curious if his assessment of you is accurate. But what allowed you to be in the spot where you had, 4, maybe even 5 pick sixes this year?
I think a big part of it is I just learned to read offenses, I guess. My dad and my brother sat me down, and they were just like, this is how you do it. They're the ones on the offense. So they know what they're looking at. So, I mean, from the other side. So I think that's a big thing that helped me, just looking for those opportunities. And, yeah, that was a big thing.
I was going to say, traders, you have help coming from the offensive side of the ball. Way to take advantage of that. I'm kidding. Hey, I mean, you were one of the leading, I think the leading tackler in 6A this year. So much talk about the Corner Canyon offense and ability to put up points, but I think the defense, we probably didn't talk about enough. A lot of people didn't recognize how good that defense was. What was that like being a key contributor on that defense when you look at how many guys are moving on to the next level?
It was huge, but that's what helped me out a lot is we have a lot of good guys, and we have Van and Jackson up front, so they were helping me out, taking on those offensive linemen, so I can't take all the credit. But, yeah, it's huge. We loved it. We don't look at one guy. We're all brotherhood, so it was good.
Talk about this team, because you put up a lot of stats, and this was something even with the offense, right? You guys didn't play in a lot of fourth quarters. But what was it with this team? What was different with this team, maybe even from last year's team?
I think we just grew more together. Our bond just got stronger, a lot of returning guys. So I think we enjoyed it. Before, every time we went out on the field, we were getting up and we were celebrating almost before we even got on the field. We were just ready to go. So I think we were just really close as a defense, and that helped us a lot. So, yeah.
Big week for you this week. I mean, winning Defensive Player of the Year, and you signed as well to go to BYU. Tell us about what you're excited about most about BYU, and what was it that going down to play for Coach Sataki was most intriguing for you?
I think I'm really excited just to play with my brother, but I'm also excited to, I guess, take it to the next level. And I mean, it's a different kind of football. It's a lot more competitive. So I think I'm ready to just see how I do there, and it's going to be fun.
What is it with you guys? I mean, the Wilsons, you all have quarterback looks, but you're in the middle linebacker. What is it about you that translates on the defensive side?
I think I just like eating more or something when I was younger or something, because I'm a lot more thick than Zach was. So I think I grew up liking to hit more, and I guess like being bigger or something, because we're very different. But yeah, that's why.
Well, awesome. Well, congratulations, Josh Wilson, our 2019 6A Defensive Player of the Year. Well, we're standing at Corner Canyon Charger Arena, and Josh Wilson, say all you want. There are guys maybe higher rated. Yeah. There are other guys who may be more highly recruited, but nobody put on more stats and impacted the game more on the defensive end of the side of the field than Josh Wilson.
Yeah, I mean, you look at what he did and how pivotal he was to this defense. Now, you look the back half, well, not the back half, the back third of the season, they changed things a little bit, and all of a sudden it becomes very dependent on their linebacking core to be really, really solid week in, week out, and they were. You look at what happened against Lone Peak, the second matchup, they took away all those little short out routes, right? Who did? The linebackers, right? And the corners, but it became really dependent on the Josh Wilsons of this defense to make big plays. And talk about his pick sixes, his interceptions in the playoffs, his leading tackle game in and game out. This Corner Canyon defense was incredible this year, and there were a lot of guys that contributed to that. The secondary was good. Talking about Van Fillinger up front, future Utah Ute, Jackson Light as well. But Josh Wilson was really, really pivotal for this defense, and a fantastic year in career for Josh Wilson.
Yeah, this is an award. If you asked at the beginning of the year, middle of the year, Nate Ritchie. I mean, we're both on it. But even during that run for Nate at the beginning of the year, Josh Wilson's getting as many pick sixes from the linebacking position. And he was just absolutely spectacular this year. Congratulations to Josh Wilson. All right, let's get to it. The men who coach these guys, our 6A Coach of the Year. All right, we're here with our first ever back-to-back 6A Coach of the Year, Coach Eric Kerr. Coach, I know this is something you can't explain of how excited you are to be. But this year, I mean, really, when we looked at it, it's like some people might say, well, undefeated, and they just dominated. But for me, it was, look at all the guys you replaced last year. You brought in, and you had to retool your team. And first couple of weeks, did it seem a little hairy to you as much as it did to us on the outside?
Yeah, offensively especially, we kind of knew we were going to have to rely on our defense, who's a really, really good unit. We had a bunch of guys back from the year before, but offensively, just missing some pieces and then just trying to figure everything out and find our groove and find what we could do well and things like that. So it took us a little bit to get going for sure.
And, one of the things I remember when you guys put out your schedule for this year was like, oh, my gosh, if this is a team that is, finished over 500 the last 3 years, you guys are playing them. Talk about how difficult that schedule was and kind of going through that and still going undefeated.
Yeah, I mean, especially once the region stuff changed and we had already kind of had our preseason stuff in place. I mean, it was a good schedule for us. And we felt like we had a good team coming back. And you're always pretty conservative with when you look at that as a coach. But you felt like we could go and play a hard schedule and help prepare our kids for the playoffs, and that's what we kind of wanted to do. And yeah, it just worked out well. Kids did a good job all year.
What was it about this team? Because one of the things, especially point differential wise, I don't know in our 15 years doing this that we've seen a team in the top classification with the point differential that you've had. And it made it look easy, especially when in the year you felt like it was just kind of a machine. What was it about this group that being in the middle of it, you were able to maybe go through it? Was it as easy as it looked, or was it where you're still every week like this can be the one or anything like that?
As a coach, you're always nervous, like week to week. It doesn't matter who you're playing, at least I am. So that part of it, you're always stressed, until it's done. They're always really, really worried. But just the kids, their approach, the way they prepare, and I say it all the time, but that makes a big difference. So I think that had a big hand in that. And then obviously there's a lot of talent that's out there too that we could work with and develop and get a lot better. And then they just performed. And I think it helps that they've all played together for a long, long time. These kids have been playing together since they were really young in Little League and all been together. So I think that continuity, that bonding that they get, depending on each other, relying on each other, I think really makes a big difference.
Coach, this particular year, it felt like, Cole was a returning starter, but maybe first couple of weeks took a little bit to get his legs under him. Just when you're kind of peaking, Austin Bell goes down with an injury, so now you got to find someone new out of the backfield. Talk about, the resiliency of this group, these kids, but then also your coaching staff and kind of the nimbleness of that week to week in the development here. Yeah,
the start was just a little different for Cole. Just the way we were doing things too, play calling was different than even what it was last year for him. So there was a little bit of adjustment there. And then just I think kind of him and our other receivers coming together in the different pass schemes that we were running or pass plays or whatever you want to call it. But that was a little bit different for him. And then, then they got hot and then we lose Austin, which was, that's a big blow. He's a special player, super explosive. So, man, you're just biggest thing is Cole, relying on Cole, and there was a lot of comfort in that just because he's a heck of a player. We knew he could perform, and we knew we'd probably be a little more pass-oriented, which we were those last few games with him out of it, and the way he performed with that. And then our defense, anytime you got your defense and you don't have to be perfect at defense like we had, and our coaches do such a good job preparing those guys. To not have to play perfect or be that way offensively gives you a little bit of leeway with those guys for sure. So it was nice this year. Complete team.
can't let this go because we'll get plenty of feedback. We talk about that defense. So we talk about Cole a lot. I mean, we spend a lot of time. I love offense, but when you look at Van Fillinger and Jackson Light and Josh Wilson and those others, when we talk about that defense and what that means for you, because at Jordan, I mean, for whatever it was, the defense is what you have here, and now you marry your offense with what you have defensively. But this year in particular,
our defenses have been really the strong point of our team since we've been here. They've been able to shut people down, and just the amount of turnovers that they create. And our coaches on that side of the ball, they preach it a ton, and they coach it, and they get those guys flying around. And then the kids over there just respond, and they're really coachable. And especially I think our DBs are a little unheralded because everybody knows about Van and Josh and our great D-line, Kennan, Jackson, all those guys, our linebackers, Cade, and everybody else. But I think on the back end, our DBs did a really good job, and their DB coach, Frankie, Casey's younger brother, really prepares those guys, gets them mentally dialed in, and they buy into that too. They want to perform well, and they had our back a lot. I mean, in that Lone Peak game, even though it looked like it was a little bit, more of a distant result, it was, it was close at times, and they were in the red zone, and we were able to stop them, and we were in the red zone. They stopped us a few times, but I thought that game really, really came down to our defense and the difference that they made. I thought they went into it with a great game plan. We did some things a little bit different, went to a 3 down and dropped a lot of 8, and our D-line held up, and everybody just did their job really well. So, that defensive unit's been awesome for us. And I have a couple kids that helped me, that played for me at Jordan, and they always teased me hey, what the heck? Where was that at? One of them's McCoy, our quarterback that was back then. So it's funny, but those guys do a great job.
No pressure, Coach. Got to go for 3 in a row now, right? Woo.
And then this year especially, we lose a decent amount, especially defensively. I think we only have 2 or 3 guys back, and offensively we have a lot back, but you lose Cole, which is a big one. So, no pressure at all. It's tough, and you just want to keep things going and keep building your program. So it's about time to get back to work again here.
But that Eric Kerr lineage, I mean, it started at Sean Taylor here in the state, and I mean, it's just the next man up. I mean, no big deal for you, right?
I guess, It's funny because a lot of people, which I think is unfortunately, like the quarterback and it's the scheme, but if you look at all those kids, they're all probably the top athletes, if not the top athlete in our school or in our program for sure, across the board. I've looked back at all of them, and I think that's just the byproduct of kids that want to work hard and that are really athletic, and I think that's not said enough for sure about all those kids that have gone through.
Well, Coach, if you need someone, I got a lot of mileage left in this arm, so you just take me up.
Yeah, no doubt. Let's do it.
Well, whoever the next man is, we know that he's going to get the Coach of the Year.
That's right.
Well, Coach, congratulations
Thanks,
again.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Great job.
Appreciate it.
We've never selected a back-to-back, the coach back-to-back, but Eric Kerr, you can say anything you want. More talent, undefeated, and a lot of guys he had to move around that we talk about in this video.
Well, and you think about the injuries he had to deal with. We asked him about that, right? And, you lose Austin Bell late. He was kind of your bell horse early in the year. You change your defense late in the year. You wonder how that's going to go. Not only that, but you could argue this is the most difficult in-state schedule ever composed right now. They didn't play an out-of-state opponent, so I want to make that qualification. Right? It's not the toughest schedule, but the toughest in-state schedule. And they ran through it like you wouldn't believe. And, you just look at the evolution of this team, how they incorporated the run game. They were the most difficult team to defend, and they were the most difficult team to score upon. I think it's very, very deserving. Coach Kerr, back-to-back state champions. And when he's won a state championships, he's won our Coach of the Year.
Yep, absolutely. Well, and he did it in a year where they're in the toughest region.
Yeah.
They're in obviously the largest classification, and he essentially had to go through region twice because the state tournament was essentially a region champion, was a region gauntlet once again, and there's no question who the best team in the state was. None. And the man who's at the top of that was Eric Kerr.
Yeah.
Really, really felt like that was an easy decision, but the rest of these awards are really, really tough. Congratulations to our award winners. Go check out our other videos, 5A awards. Also, we have our Mr. Rewind and our unheralded players, and a bonus track to go as well. Again, our awards are brought to you by the Utah Army National Guard. You got to be consistent.
Yep.
Be consistent, be a part of a team, and that is what the Utah Army National Guard is all about. Learn more, go to nationalguard.com. For Vince Francis and Dane Stewart, I'm Dusty Litster. Thanks for joining us and watching the Deseret News Rewind Football Award Show for the 6A classification.